So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Red Table Wisdom Talk. I'm Cathy Mines, and I'm the Director of Wellness at Reach Yoga, and I take my seat here at the Red Table as host and call moderator. The Red Table Wisdom Talks are weekly conversations between Kahontakwas Diane Longboat and people worldwide looking to participate in exchanges that lift the spirit. This virtual community space is provided solely for the purpose of making Indigenous teachings available in the spirit of reconciliation. Diane is a ceremonial leader, traditional teacher, healer, and the founder of Soul of the Mother, a healing lodge on the shores of the Grand River at Six Nations, Grand River Territory. Kahontakwas, we make our tobacco offering to you with respect and thanks for your traditional teachings tonight.
Thank you so much, Cathy. It's always a real privilege to join you and to see all of our dear beloved relatives online. It's like a family reunion every week, and I just want you to know how much I really look forward to it, and seeing you really strengthens my spirit. So thank you for being here with us again this week. So I wanted to offer some smudge to everybody here and to say how grateful I am to see you well and at peace. I want to offer some words of thanksgiving to Sangwe Diso, our Creator, before we begin. And it is always our way to remind ourselves that the great power of the universe is the Creator, that we all came from the Creator, and that we have a sacred spiritual mandate to fulfill. And we have been given so many gifts and so many ancestors to walk with us to be able to do that. So these words really go with our opening Thanksgiving address that was given this morning at 8 o'clock. It was given also at a tobacco burning and a pipe ceremony. So these words are adding on to what was given this morning. So grateful to you, Sangwe Disam, for this beautiful opportunity to join once again, to see my beloved relatives, and to be able to share these sacred words of invocation and prayer and thanksgiving, and also to be able to understand that no matter where we are, that we have a spiritual gift to bring to the world, and that to find that spiritual gift is the challenge of our life. We give thanks this day for the beautiful stardust from the most beautiful places in the universe that the Creator swirled together to create our Mother, the Earth, the beautiful mineral life that is underneath our feet. We give thanks to the great waters upon the earth, for those waters all represent life and represent the journey of the woman. We give thanks for the salt waters, the fresh waters, the rain waters that we experienced here today, and the birth waters for the continuance of life. We honor and give thanks to all those beings in the Council of Creation. As we look outside of our homes here, we see the plant life that is coming back to life again in this new cycle. And we see that it will not be long before the blooms will be on the strawberry plants again, and that great fruit will nourish us and cleanse our blood. We give thanks for the strawberries that are the lead of all those medicine plants. We honor the tobacco as the lead of all the sacred plants that we use for communication with the Creator, and to the maple trees that have given us maple water and the sweetness, and helped us with the sweetness of life. We honor and give thanks to all of those animals that are in our region that share this beautiful land with us. And those animals, the one that is the lead for them in our region is the deer. So we acknowledge and give thanks to the deer. And to all the living things that are in the waters and in the air, we understand that you all have a sacred and a beautiful purpose to carry wisdom and to carry all of the aspects for the continuance of life. We're grateful for you. And we speak today to the smallest microbes that are in the soil, those ones that nourish the soil and bring life to all of the things that are planted there. We give thanks and honor to the four winds that refresh and cleanse Mother Earth, and to the thunder beings who have brought us beautiful rains to nourish all life. We think about those 4 sacred beings that the Creator put in place over the earth to watch over the human family. And we understand that they have such a hard job, because so many of us have forgotten the true essence of what it is to be a sacred being, to be made of stardust, and to be given a sacred mandate here. And so those sacred beings have been lowered here to walk with us from time to time and keep us on a good path. We acknowledge the stars representing our ancestors, and our grandmother, the moon, sky woman, who represents all female life, the continuance of life, fertility, and takes care of the great waters upon the earth. To our brother, the sun, who never fails in his walk across the sky. He is a great warrior, and he is our elder brother, and his light brings life to the world, for all things are made of sunlight. Those beautiful stars, called the Milky Way, that join this world to the high heavens of the place of peace. We acknowledge that star formation and give thanks that it is a bridge from the natural world to the place of peace. And we acknowledge and give thanks that one day we will all have that privilege of walking across that bridge and joining our beloved relatives on the other side. We give thanks to those ancestors on the other side whose beautiful fires are burning over there. They understand what it is to be a human, and for all the weaknesses and failures that we have. And they continue to pray for us. And they are mindful that as we continue to go through our struggles here on the earth, that they too remember those struggles, and they remember that their prayers enable them to make it through those difficult times. So they are continuously praying for us to find our strength and our vision. Around the Creator's council fire are seated the great ones that have been here continuing the job of creation. Some people would say that they are little people and stone giants and great bears and great eagles, great beings that help the Creator to complete the job of creation. We acknowledge them, all of those seats at that great council fire. And we say to them that we need you, and we need your help and your medicine now more than ever. And so with these words, Creator, we bring our minds together, and we give thanks in just in a simple way that we can all understand. And we say to you that we commit our work and our life to you, that you will guide us and protect us and heal us in these trying times, that you will provide a path for us to follow, that teachers will come to us, and that those teachers will see the very best in us and help us along that journey so that we may help others. And so with these words, Creator, we give thanks to you that we have found each other, that we have found this beautiful way, and that we continue to love and support one another. Yawa, miigwech, miigwech. Thank you for joining me in that invocation. So grateful that you're here again this week. I wanted to introduce to you my dear friend, Brenda Johnson. I met Brenda when I moved back home to Six Nations in 1994, and have had a long friendship with her. And I remember I hadn't seen her in some time, and I walked into the health center, and she was working in the mental health program. And at that time, I was working for the Center for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto. And I was so glad to see her and to see the kind of work that she was doing in the community. So I want to introduce Brenda to you this evening, and she's going to be sharing some of the story of her life and her healing journey. So nyawa to you, Brenda, for making time for us.
Hello, everybody. It was pretty overwhelming to see how many people are here. It was very interesting last week listening to Diane. I always like listening to her. So what I wanted to share was some of the aspects of the life in regards to healing in it that Some moments were spectacular and some were just, they were very small and seemingly insignificant, but they're yet huge when I unraveled them. For me, I started in actually probably 93, and I went into a treatment center, Native Horizons, and that's where a lot of the things that I was experiencing, like as a child, like seeing things and understanding things and dreams and all this kind of stuff started to wake back up, because I knew I was doing stuff as a kid and knowing things and stuff, but the people around me didn't know what it was, so they got scared and scared me and told me not to do it and don't talk about it. So I tried to shut it off, but I couldn't shut anything off until I started drinking and doing drugs. Then that stuff kind of just went off to the side and became part of a subconscious, but it was always still there. So when I started dealing with the addictions and moving those out of my life, that's when all of that stuff just come just like a rush of really strong wind just come flowing in those 6 weeks that I was there, and being able to see things again and know things and dream like all these really profound and cathartic dreams. And so then, like Diane said, in 94 we met and I started working with her and doing fasting and sweats and stuff like that, and again seeing things in the fast, in the sweat lodge. Like you can't see anything in there, but I can see stuff in there. I don't always know what it means. There I see stuff in the fire and like images, like just form. I think for me, it would, like I said, it was always there, and I just shut it off for a while, and then when I was ready, it started to wake back up. So a lot of it was meeting women like Diane and being able to be introduced to other areas. And it was kind of hard because being raised by I would call Orthodox Haudenosaunee family, like my grandparents, like this is the way and this is all. So being raised in the longhouse, going to ceremonies, listening to teachings and prophecies and a language, and just having that exposure from the time I was an infant till I was about 13 when I started drinking, and then I pulled away from all of that. But being able to be part of that instilled all of that in me. So when I was ready to pick it back up again, it was there. And the one thing that I've lost in that process was the language. And I have some of it. I can speak some of it. I can read some of it. But now, because I haven't focused on it completely, what the first language I have is Cayuga, and then my in-laws taught me Mohawk. So I speak Mayuga now, like Mohawk and Cayuga. I'll say Mohawk words and Cayuga words and mix them up. Um, so that's something else I have to focus on. But I think that in that part, a deeper understanding will come as well, because of what the language holds and the knowledge, even in the understanding and comprehension and the breakdown of the words and stuff. There's more there to learn. But more so, my healing has been in my dreams. Like, I'll share this one with you. I can't remember the date, but I have it written down. It's all in a book, dates and everything. Dates are in there. But I was, I was at my grandparents' house, our old log house down on 6th Line, and I was having a hard time. In my real life, I was having a hard time, struggling, and it was what happened was I felt stuck in my healing, that I wasn't growing, that I wasn't moving forward. There's um, a connection to myself that I didn't feel it. I felt it was missing, but yet I didn't I didn't really know what it was until after the dream, because I felt it in its entirety after the dream. But in the beginning of the dream, I'm standing there, and I'm standing outside, and my grandma, who raised me, she she came to me in my dream, and so we were standing there, and I was just so happy to see her, and I was holding her hands, and I was looking at her hands, and she's always had soft hands. And so I was listening to her, and she's telling me, but I was just so fascinated with her hands, and I was so glad to see her. And she was saying that she said, we know you've been struggling, and so we're going to take you through this ceremony, and it's going to help you. And she says, don't be afraid. I'll be right here beside you. And as she's talking, and then I notice that we're sitting inside this vehicle, and it's a vehicle like when I was a kid that my grandma and I always traveled around with my Uncle Pete and my Aunt Em, her daughter. And so it was like we did when I was a kid. The only difference was that I was sitting by the passenger door in the back this time, whereas usually as a kid I always had to sit in the middle. So we're going along, and she's holding my hand, and she's talking to me and whispering to me, and she's saying, don't be afraid. She's telling me, she says, we're going to go through this light, and when we go through this light, she says, just breathe in, just take a deep breath, and take the light and let it go through your entire body. Let it penetrate all of your cells. Let it go through everything in your body. She says, don't be afraid. Just hold my hand. I'm here, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Just let it come, and let it pass through you, and just breathe. So I was like, okay. And because I'm holding her hand, when she said that, I looked up, and I could see my aunt on the passenger side looking back, and behind her in the distance I could see a light, because it was dark. Because I was like, when I looked up, it was pitch black. But then I looked at her, and I could see a light way off in the distance behind her, and we're headed toward it in this car. And I knew we weren't on the ground anymore. And so we're going toward it, and it's getting bigger and bigger. My grandma's I'm holding her hand and just feeling how soft it is, and just even that was reassuring. And she's just like, I'm right here, don't be afraid. So that light gets really close, and then all of a sudden I just breathe. She's like just reminding me, just breathe. So as that light got close, I just took this really deep breath, and I just breathe. I was breathing in and taking it all in, and I just felt this like just come through my whole body. And it was just like this sense of contentment and innocence. And it didn't take long. And then when I opened my eyes again, we were standing back on the ground where we started out, and she was holding I had something in my hands, and she was holding my hands. Had her hands clasped over mine. And so she opens up my hand, and she shows me this rock. And I didn't know it at the time, but that rock is a rose quartz. So she said to me, this will help you anytime that you need me. All you have to do is hold this rock, and I will help you. So when I woke up from that dream, and that feeling that I had when I went through that light, that contentment, that innocence, it was just like, when I woke up, I took this deep breath again, and felt it again, and it never left. It's always been there, that feeling of contentment and innocence, which was taken from me as a little baby. So that came back, and that's why I was stuck, because as a baby I didn't articulate, but my body knew and it sensed and it felt that loss. But and that's why I had gotten stuck, because my mind couldn't articulate it, the memory wasn't there, but my body had it. And that's what the dream was able to do, is to help me to heal on that other level, on that level of not being aware and not knowing. And there was I don't know how much time later, but I went into the store. It was called Country Image at the time, and there was this wall. When I walked in the door, there was this wall of these rocks, and there was a pink rock on there, and I just made this beeline for it. And I picked it up and I looked at it. It was the same thing, fit in my hand the same way, and it had this little like yellow strip through it, like a in it. And so I bought it. And then another time I had picked up this book on crystals. So then I figured out, I was looking at it, and it's a rose quartz. And actually I should show it to you. And I figured out what it was, and like I had washed it and put tobacco on it and stuff and made it mine before all that. And it's a rose quartz, and what really was interesting was that was my grandma's name, was Rose. And so I still have that. It sits by my bed. Um, and any time in my life, I'm not kidding you, I've struggled, I've held that, and I've just wore it. Sometimes I wear it in my shirt because I got to do other things. And so and it helps me. And it is something that's part of my healing. But it was a very, very profound and cathartic, and it was really amazing dream that, and I have lots of examples of that, but that's the one that really that one was really kickstarted the healing for me, because then it merged a lot of my spirit with me, and a lot of those realms, and solidified that belief that there is more to what in this life, in your life, than what you can see and sense with your eyes, your ears, your hands, all of that stuff. There's more going on than what scientists can prove and stuff. So it just really strengthened it and solidified it, that without a question, without a doubt, that when there's people talking like Diane or other people sharing experiences, that there is no doubt. It's like, I used to be the most skeptical person in the world. But with that, too many things get shown to me that I cannot believe it anymore. It's that there's a truth to it. And I just I don't I just did so much different things. Like I don't know if anybody knows about quantum healing either. Quantum integration, I guess it's called. It's, to me, it's my, like, there's quantum, there's Reiki, there's meditation, there's what else is there? Massages, there's like quantum integration, there's sweats, there's fasting, there's smudging, there's meditating, like even, oh my God, as simply as hanging on to tobacco and just putting your heart and your thoughts into it and asking for that help. Don't ask for strength, because you always get troubles and not troubles, but you'll get challenges to show you how strong you are. That was lesson number 1. Just give thanks and ask for what your heart needs, and what you need help with, not what you need not a challenge. Like, don't challenge the spirits. They'll show you how strong you are. But me, Um, those are like things that, like quantum integration was, with Diane Hill. And um, I just go to sleep in that. And I have these visions and dreams and stuff. And the one I had before, or not, like a few years ago, was that it's time for me to become who I'm meant to be. So that wasn't long after I seen Diane at mental health in Ashwegan that I left there and started working with New Directions, Native Horizons, went full circle, went back to Native Horizons, but I was working there. And just putting who I am into the work that I do. And um, I found it very satisfying, and also like so profound. Like all these different places and communities have so much knowledge, ancestral knowledge in their places, and I can pick up on them sometimes. And it's not necessarily, well, some of it's for them, and I can't remember what I share because that belongs to them, but I remember what's there for me. There was one, I was dreaming. I was in the room where I was staying at Agnostic, and it was in the morning, and I dreamt I was standing by the door, and my uncle came walking in. He had been gone for he's been gone for a long time. And my cousin and I were in there, and she was in there with her granddaughter that was still in the hospital. And so we were there, and then my uncle Cy comes walking in, and he says, heck, I was just so glad to see him. And I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I come to see how you guys are doing. And I said, and he said, and I come to let you know that she's going to be fine. He said, the baby, she's going to be fine. And I was like, oh, that's good. Not really knowing at the time in my dream, but yet still knowing. But I asked him, I said, so what have you been doing? He said, oh, I've been working on cars with your dad. And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And then, like, again, that's the and then I woke up. That's the famous last words that people have when they dream, and the dream's over. And then I woke up. So with that one, that really helped me. Well, helped me, and it helped my cousin by telling her, you know what, she's your granddaughter's going to be fine. How do you know that? Well, Uncle Cy told me. She's like, what? I said, I dreamt about him, and he said she was going to be fine. And so I said, because even after he died, that within that year, he came in a dream and told me, he said, tell Polly and tell Chammy to not just live this life, but to thrive thrive in their lives. So I told them that. And so they have been like, it's been a long time, but Polly really needed to hear that. My aunt needed to hear that because she wasn't thriving in her life. She was just living day to day. So just different things like that come, like I get something out of it and somebody else gets something out of it. It's not always just for me, it's for other people as well. I should have, oh, I know I can't. I should have dug out my dream books and sat here and just read bedtime dream stories for you. But does anybody have any questions? I don't like, I can share better by answering questions.
Yes, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What it is, what do you mean to strive your life? Like what does...
No, thrive. THRIVE. Thrive.
Elaborate some more on that? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you
Okay,
elaborate?
so I wrote it in there. Cathy wrote it too. Like thrive in your life, not strive, but thrive.
Okay.
It means to gather abundance to you in all aspects of your life, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, that you are balanced, you're connected to the Creator, and you are fulfilling the spiritual mandate that the Creator put inside of you. So your life is joyful, it's peaceful, it's generous, it's empathetic for others, and you are becoming the full human being that the Creator wished for you to be when He created you. And so it's this world and the wounds of this world that prevent us from feeling that fullness and that balance. And that's why, you know, this discussion with Brenda is so important, because she's talking to you about how she found her true essence. She was divinely created, and she's human, having this experience, you know, and her spirit is saying, you know, with the wounds of the world, how do we shed that so that we can really thrive in the world and feel that great abundance coming to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it can't, for me, it can't be here.
Thank
because
you.
it's too analytical. It has to be in that spiritual realm, that dream world, and that fasting and sweats through quantum integration sessions. Like, I can't be here. I have to like shut this off and not, because this is too judgmental, too critical in a negative sense, so too analytical as well. I've got to have everything figured out and it's got to make sense. But in my dreams and in those sacred spaces, this is not turned on. I'm just feeling it, experiencing it, and taking it all in. Any more questions about anything I shared you don't understand? Or I can try to explain more, or Diane can eloquently explain. I love working with her.
Can you talk more about your quantum?
Oh, sure. So with that, what would you like, just explain more about what it's about?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So Diane is Diane Hill. She does the sessions, and she does, it's kind of like either individual or group sessions that you can do. I usually do work in groups with, like, when I go and participate. And she talks about different teachings, healing, what that's like, spirit. Like, she talks about what all those mean, and then let people have conversation about what that means for them and talk and stuff. And for me, I'll zone out. I'll just like, I'll sit back, and then all of a sudden my head will go back, or it'll just drop and I'm asleep. And what I'm doing, and what I could still hear what was going on in the session. And what it is like, it's like when you're working with people like Diane and Alva and Jane Burning, Michelle Thomas, like, we have a vast number of people here that have a lot of that innate inherited knowledge, that ancestral knowledge that they're able to work through, and just like have the ancestors come and work through them. And so with Diane, what they can do, all of them do, is they create that sacred space that is safe for our ancestors to walk through that veil between their world and our world. And in that process, our helpers come over, and that's what Diane does too, is she creates that sacred space. And that's what true healers are able to do, is create the sacred space so that your helpers and their helpers come in to help each other, to help the individual. Like, they've got this ability, this sacred relationship. And so when I talk about my experience, that's my ancestors coming in and helping me. And I remember in that session that she was talking and she was helping people, and some people were crying and stuff, but I was like semi-conscious, and I was talking to her in my dream, and I'm like, okay, ask him this question, and to go there with him, ask him this question. And then in that, and then I heard her clearly say, I got this, you work on your own stuff. So I'm like, okay. So I went back into where I was doing, and I was standing on this balcony. And in this balcony, I'm looking down into like a courtyard, and there's a lot of people there and kids playing and stuff. And then Diane comes and stands beside me, and she says, she goes like this, and she has this bow and arrow, and she goes like this and pulls it back, and she's like, it's time for you now to become who you're meant to be. And as she was talking, I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at that arrow, and there's this translucent, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Avatar, where that Awa tree has all of these like translucent leaves are hanging down from it, but it's translucent, and it goes down, and the end of it, and then I look, and here it's attached to me on my hip, and she's like, and then I look up, and she goes like this, and she hands it, or no, she still has it, and one of the participants was calling my name, and I woke up, and I looked up, and she said, it's almost time to go. And I just went right back out again. And then Diane started handing it back over to me and said the same thing. It's time for you to become who you're meant to be. And I went to grab it, and then they woke me up again from that. But I was just like, oh man. So again, it showed me then that yes, I knew what I was supposed to do, but I wasn't listening yet, and I wasn't ready. I heard them, but I didn't listen. And I just waited a few more years, and then eventually I did leave and start working on who I meant to be, like being more out there, facilitating and training people and sharing, and working on myself more, and then going back to school, and I've been working on my master's degree. And so quantum integration is about the energy and the ability to work in that sacred space where your people, your helpers come in to help you. And I'm very fortunate that I know a lot of people that have that skill. I'm gaining it, I'm getting it, but it's not on that, it's on a different level. It's more on that intellectual level, and creating that safe space when I do training and presentations and stuff. But in ceremony and that, that's not my area yet. I'm still a young Jedi learning those skills.
Brenda.
I know, yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm enjoying this so much. And there's things in the chat, and a couple of things. We have Marianne, one of our attendees, has a dream she'd like to share with you. But I'm busting in with a question. And one of the women, I just wanted to also say to everybody, type anything that you like, because Diane and Brenda will get I give them the chat after. So you can put messages about things, even if you don't feel like coming on, they'll be able to read them after. I was going to ask, are daydreams and premonitions the same things? You know, sometimes you get a feeling and you think it's your intuition. Is that a daydream?
I don't think so. That's your intuition. Like, that's just, I don't know. That's just natural for me. I thought everybody does that.
Okay, I just all of a sudden was wondering, is like, do you enter a daydream? Because you
Even
get
those moments where you know that that this is going to happen, that deja vu moments, those things?
Yeah.
Do you have those, like,
Yeah.
where it's, I've been here, I've been doing this, and this is what's gonna happen? And so yeah, those are deja vu as well. To me, that's like a daydream. I don't know. In high
Yeah.
school, I would daydream all the time.
Yeah, I just had this. I wanted to ask about daydreams. Okay, then I'm going to ask Marianne to unmute and please come on and share your dream.
Okay, hi. Yes, thank you for sharing all your wisdom with us. So I just had this dream, and so I was with this person, and it was a man. It was an Indigenous elder. He was in full ceremonial dress, and he was with me. I think it was at a church or something. He was behind me, and he kept calling out my name, and he said, Marianne. And then there was another place, and he was there again, and he called out my name again. And then there was a third place, and I thought, why is he appearing in all these different places? And I said, I know this man. And so then when I woke up, the first person I thought of was Art Solomon. And so I was thinking about, the times that I met Art Solomon. And there was one time that I met him, and it wasn't a church basement, but it was, he did a lot of healing in regards to, people in prison and so on. And I remember at the time I asked him, he was talking about sweat lodges and so on. And I asked him, I said, what about women? And he says, well, sweat lodges they're built in for women. And I don't know, this was back in the 80s. So I don't know in terms of the history of women participating in sweat lodges. But then there's another time that was at Anishinaabe Center in Sudbury, and there was also an elder there that spoke. And then there was another time that I was at Wandering Spirit Survival School in Toronto, and there was an elder there, and he said, what's your name? And I told him my name, and my last name is Loranger. And he says, oh yeah. He said, a lot of Lorangers out west. He says, bushwives. And I was really embarrassed, when I didn't understand what that meant. And when I talked to my dad, and he explained it. And so I thought, oh, with Indigenous women and so on. And so I thought, oh, this is not good in terms of the history. But then I started to learn that these women were important in terms of interpretation and so on. And anyway, then later today, I was looking at a video that I found of Art Solomon. He was talking to his daughter, Eva, who was a sister of St. Joseph, and that was the same community I belonged to. And anyway, it was a wonderful talk, and it was just like he was there, and I said, there you are. And I think it was probably early 90s that it was done, because he died, I think, around 95, 96. But anyway, in one of these articles, if it's okay to share, it was an article. Is it okay to share his message?
Yeah.
He says, his message couldn't be clearer. We must care for the land, the water, the air, and all living things, for we are all related. If we don't care of the earth, we don't care of anything. We must reverse the destruction and undertake a profound healing process to become whole again. We must learn from Indigenous peoples around the world, who, in Art's words, are the final teachers on this earth. When asked if there were something in particular he would like to share, Art reflected on the centrality of women. When women take hold of their part and start to come together, he says, that will right the balance. We have to wait for that. Art Solomon trusted in that vision and tended it while he was waiting, carefully planting the seeds of heartfulness and harmony, fiercely protecting and nurturing the soil in which they grow. His words call us to remember what it means to be whole. In his presence, we feel as if we are part of a great and abiding forest, freshly washed with rain. And, at the end of the dream, I just felt like crying, because I just felt this wonderful presence. Just want to share that with you.
Very nice.
It was
Well,
that really give you an opportunity to celebrate your teacher and to, I think, to gain inspiration, like Brenda said, to gain inspiration to keep going and keep healing and keep learning and keep sharing what you know, because in this earth walk that each of us have as human beings, we have an opportunity to inspire so many. And, you know, the readings and the words of art, they will always remain with us, you know, and especially I think through his children.
Mhm. So I seen that Tanya had a question about how to help while people are social distancing. For me, it's meditation. If you can teach yourself meditating, how to shut this off, shut your mind off, um, and just allow your body to connect to what's around you in a good way. Like this, like our mind is one thing. Our, like Diane mentioned, our traumas, our past can get in our way. Well, being able to shut the mind off and just let your body heal. Like if you can find healing meditations that will put you out but walk you through. Like there was one, Louise LeBron, she was the one Diane worked with to do quantum integration. So one is Louise LeBron. I've always listened to Sally Merrill Redfield, The Joy of Meditating. There's some calm one. There's a calm app out there. But anything you can do to help you to learn, like meditation, guided imagery, things that will take you through, that shut your mind off and I'll walk you through healing. They kind of, it just generally sets up the imaging, but eventually you get to the part of doing your own manifesting in that space. Like in me, I transferred that into going into sweats and going into fasting, just simply meditating or just holding on to tobacco um, while I'm like driving at 120 kilometers an hour, screaming my head off because I'm upset about something, trying to let stuff go. But while you have the time, learn how to meditate. Find helpful apps on online. It's I fell into it. I was just being taught it as part of learning the language, and I've been doing it for like probably 27 years now. My son's 26, so at least 27 years. And that for me was like opening up that realm within me and strengthening it as well, because we get too preoccupied in the this and the now and get this done and hurry up and wait stuff, and we need to be able to just tune out and just let our ancestors help us, let them communicate with us. Like my dreams have like become like really, really strong. And yes, I can dream things that are going to happen in the future, and I don't want them to. They're not so like, I remember one that comes to mind now is my aunt my grandmother, actually, my grandma Rose, and her mother, Maggie, Ma, and we were in the old house in the homestead down on Tuscarora Road. No, what road is that? Oh, no, I don't know. One of like way that way. And they were combing my aunt's hair. And I was trying to talk to them, and I was asking them like, okay, what are you doing up here? Because when my great grandma was alive, mom or ma, she wasn't allowed to go upstairs because she was old, and they were really steep stairs. So they're up there and they're combing my aunt's hair, and I knew from that dream what that meant, because it was telling me, like, and I never told anybody. I didn't say anything because I didn't want it to come true. And after somebody like you die and you're married, the family will comb the spouse's hair to help with that grieving process, and it's about letting them go as well. And so I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want it to come true, but that was in like November, and then in February she passed away. And I knew, but I didn't want it to come true. And you debate, do I say anything or don't I say anything? So I didn't say anything because I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want it to happen, but it did. So yeah, your dreams can tell you things in the future, but I don't really like being told about future things, because I'd want to live in the here and now. I spent a lot of time in that when I was young, because I learned all the prophecies and stuff back then, and it was like doom and gloom sort of thing, and it was like I felt helpless because there was nothing I could do. I felt that I could do to change anything, but knowing now that as long as I'm simply giving thanks in the morning, I'm fulfilling my part. I'm giving thanks for all of creation, because way back before any of us came here, there was one man that was giving thanks, and that man saved creation. So I just do my part, that is to give thanks. That ganyo in the morning, or simply I just simply say Nyawasagwaidiso Neaze Wanishrade. And that's like giving thanks to all of creation and for another day, so that we all, I don't do it just for myself, I do it for everybody. And that's what the Thanksgiving address is for, is for giving, like acknowledging all of creation for everyone. So even if there's just a few of us, or simply one of us, then we do have our contribution to a future for people.
So great, thank you. I've got a few questions stacking up for both of you that I'd like to say. Somebody's asking, was it Louise LeBron?
Yeah, Louise LeBron.
Okay. So I'd like to, I know other questions came before, but I think this is a good question. I think it's gone deep now, but it's from Tasneem. And she's asking about fasting, because tonight's the beginning of Ramadan. If either of you, Diane, Brenda, could share about fasting.
Diane? I'm the young Jedi here, remember?
It's a beautiful ceremony in which you make your sacred connection to Mother Earth and to the Creator. And there's many ways of setting up a fast, but the important thing is that you prepare for it. You prepare for it physically by eating organic foods, fresh foods, no fried stuff, no coffee, no chocolate, no colas. And you prepare spiritually.
Water.
About the sun ceremony and all of the things that you need to do in terms of that sun ceremony to prepare yourself. And, finding your teacher and making sure that you're part of a ceremonial circle, and that, this teacher is going to put you through this fast, because you need to be supported during that fast. You need to be protected. And in our way, we always set a sacred fire, so that fire is our communication with the Creator and with all the spirit helpers of the Creator. And so it creates a safe environment for everybody. And there's other things you do to create that environment, but generally that's what we do. And we as we prepare people, it's there's a meaning for the fast. You don't just go in there and say, I'm going to do this. There's something that you're working on. There's something that, whether it's a flaw in your character, or something that you need real strong prayers for. Sometimes people will fast for somebody else's life who has cancer. So, you know, there's always a strong intent, and you know why you're doing it. Because there'll be times inside that fast of 4 days with no food and no water, and you're on the land, that you're going to be challenged. And so, you know, you have to know why you're in there and why you've accepted that suffering. And if you prepare yourself properly, the physical suffering is minimal, and it's a real profound spiritual experience, which is what we're all aiming for. So that's why preparation is important. And, you know, you can do a 2-day fast for young kids who are just learning how to fast. We put them through a 1-day, 2-day, 3-day, 4-day fast. You build up to it. But it's the fasting ceremony is one in which you get ready to meet the Creator, because your life is going to change and you're ready for that change. And when Brenda was saying, you know, all of the messages that she would get in dreams, and that sense of intuition or sense of spiritual knowing, the premonitions, all those things, like you're experiencing all of that, but you have to have a balanced context for understanding them. And that's what the fast does as well, is it helps you to evolve spiritually, so you become strong.
Beautiful. Thank you. So this is where we're at. It's 9 o'clock. I have 2 great questions I want to call out. Another question just came in that somebody'd like to ask. Plus, I want to call on Kelly, and I want to let everybody know that tonight we are ending our call with the song offering. So just in case any of you are missing the song offering that we usually do at the beginning, we're completing the call with the song offering. So ladies, I'm going to ask you, I feel like, should I just say both questions? Diane, you know the time better. I feel bad to leave out the questions, but I also was thinking about Kelly. What do I do? Okay, Cindy's saying if I can fit in Darlene, Denise questions, I'm going to go for it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so one's about dreams. So maybe, how about, I'm going to ask Diane the first one, Brenda the second. So from Darlene, why did we choose to leave the land of peace to be born on earth where there are so many challenges?
Well, that's a beautiful question. So
Definitely
you need to remember that you're stardust, you know, that you were created from such a magnificent and beautiful place, that you're royalty, that the Creator never makes a mistake when he creates you. And so living in that place of peace, we all, of course, wanted to stay there. But the Creator came to us one day and he said, you know, the earth is changing and it needs help. And so I created you with a certain kind of gift. I would like you to see if you would go to the earth and use that gift. And of course, it's your free will. You don't have to go. You can stay here. Because as much as I made you with that gift, there are other people also that have a combination of those kinds of gifts. And so, you know, it's a calling. Do you want to go? And all of us agreed to come here. We all agreed. And so when, you know, we were lowered here to the earth in that birthing process, the Creator told us, you're going to forget who I am. And you're going to a dark place where people have forgotten who I am. And you're going to have to work hard to find who you are and then find me again. And all of us said, we're up for it, Creator. We love you so much. You know, we're never going to forget who you are. And we came here. And, you know, we're born, honestly, like if I could say one thing to all of you that I hope you'll hold in your hearts, we're born at the most incredible time of humanity, where this is a new era, and it's the time of the heart. And you already, you know, Brenda already said, it's not about being in your mind. It's about the heart experience. It's about experiencing the Creator and all of creation and the great life force that's on the earth with your heart. So how do you get from your head to your heart? That's what ceremonies are all about. Because you experience things in those ceremonies that you can't explain as a human being. So, you know, that's why we came to the earth, to make it a better place with the gifts that the Creator gave us. Thanks for the question.
Whew. Okay. Wow. Thank you. Okay. Denise, let me find your questions. Okay. So, Brenda, what do we know about dreams inside of dreams are going to different levels?
Well, I text her back, and really I don't have a technical process other than like relaxing and trusting and going with it. And like I said about meditation, the deeper you are unconscious, the safer it is for your ancestors to visit, to see you, or help you. That's the only thing. And how you do that is the only way that I know how to do that, like is meditation or in ceremony, with like sweats, fasting, things that help you to just like tap out of the mind, just tap into the soul, into your essence, tap into that. And any way you can get there, whether it's going hiking, maybe even doing chores, sometimes it's doing that. Gardening is the same thing for me. I'm wide awake, working in the garden, working in the ground, planting, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I can be out there for hours and I'd be gone in my own little world. It's finding things that help you to, it could be knitting, it could be like drawing, coloring, like it could be a lot of things. It's just trying different things to figure out, like, I can't say this will work for everybody. This is what's worked for me. But the more unconscious I am, the more stronger that it is. And man, going with it and just enjoying the ride. Like people talk about vivid dreams and I'm like, bring it on. Like, I love it. They're awesome. I don't go in there trying to figure it out anymore. I'm like going with it and then looking at it. But big part of it, of anything that happens in your dreams or intuition or anything, is how does your body feel about that? And what are your feelings like when you think about it? Like, where are you feeling it in your body? What does it feel like? And just not having to pull the dictionary open and say, okay, that's what it is, but letting it set in. Sometimes they'll come quick. Sometimes understanding could be quick. Sometimes you just have to feel it out. It's like, has anybody ever tried the eye movement desensitization reprocessing, EMDR? It's a therapy as well. And what it does is, and like quantum integration, it wakes up your cells and helps you to release anything that you're struggling with, or trauma or anything. It helps to release it. So my daughter-in-law came to me and she was just crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, well, I went and did my EMDR session and my whole body's just trembling. And I feel so scared. I feel so sad and scared. And I'm like, that's your cells letting go of that grief or that trauma. Just go with it. Just let it happen. Don't stop it. It's okay. You can do that here. It's safe. And she just wrote it out, and she felt better after, but she was so scared because she didn't know what it felt like to feel that kind of emotion, because she was like so tightly wound before. I thought an hour was going to be too long.
Huh.
Well,
Well, why, Brenda, thank you so much. Please know that this community has a tobacco offering for you, and tomorrow I'll make sure that this goes somewhere beautiful. And
yeah,
I'm not ending by saying thank you. I just feel moved to say thank you now, because this has been so great. I would like to ask Kelly. I also have a tobacco offering for you, Kelly. I hope you're still on. Would you be willing to give a cedar teaching tonight? And then we'll have our song and we can end. And if you're not on, all right. Oh, you are. You're there. Would you be willing to do that?
She's muted.
Oh, hang on.
So Kathy,
Oh,
on,
there. Sorry. There you go. Thank you. Hey.
I'm just thinking with the time where we're at right now, I definitely don't next week, because I wouldn't mind just talking about cedar bass as well. And
Oh, that would be great.
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I had it in my heart, and I got whisked away in the fun. But if you will come on next week, and
Because I'm definitely seeing some of these questions, and it's like, wow, like this is really interesting, eh?
Mhm.
it's incredible. Okay, perhaps then, Diane, I will hand it back to you to bring Cindy on for the song offering.
I just want to say some final words to you this evening to let you know that you are in a time of sacred seclusion, and to make the most of this time because it's so precious. As much as we say things have been taken away from us, what we have been given is this time for the sacredness of a seclusion that is enabling us to go deeply inside, to examine our values, examine how we're living, examine our own, I would say, weaknesses and challenges and toxicities in our lives that we know we need to get rid of. But we're so good at keeping busy that we never deal with the deeper stuff. And so in this time of sacred seclusion, I want you to understand that you are the gift, Creator's gift to the universe. And one of our relatives, who's a medicine leader in Havasupai in the Grand Canyon, at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, told us last night, he said, you are an emissary, a messenger of the spirit. You have a role to play here at this time, and you are positioned in a place, in a geographical location that enables you to maximize the impact of your gift. And so, while we are in this seclusion, sometimes these are hardships that cause us to make a course correction, as Paha would tell us. And don't be afraid to make that course correction. Don't be afraid to stand up for what you understand to be your gifts, your journey, your path forward, and be strong in your conviction that you have a role to play on behalf of the Creator in this time of transition. And it is the time of the heart. When I say that, I want to remind you that the greatest medicine in all of the universe is love. And love is going to defeat wars. Love is going to defeat the ecocide that's going on. Love will defeat the sicknesses and the famines that are coming our way. And love is what will bind us together as community. This is a time to build community. And I want to tell you, relatives, that this is also a time when, we're not living in any kind of a Pollyanna dream world here. What we're also seeing is the profound evil that is amongst us. And that profound evil is showing itself. And so there's no longer any gray areas. It's a black and white scenario. So, you know, for yourself and for your own spiritual well-being and for your spiritual growth and evolution, make sure you know where you're standing. And that better be firmly on the side of the Creator in whatever faith tradition that you follow. It's an important piece. And I think that, you know, one of the things that is going to be most challenging for us is to go deeply inside, because it's easy to look on the outside. It's easy to look at other people or other scenarios or situations, you know, and be critical. But this is a time for self-reflection, and the healing of the earth begins with the healing of yourself. So I want to thank you for joining us again this evening and for the opportunity that we have to share a lot of these deeper teachings with each other. And I want to turn it now to Goananolo for that final song. It's our offering to the Creator to say Yahweh for such a beautiful time together. Yahweh to Brenda for your gift of sharing your life and your experiences and your journey with us. And to all of you for being here.
Are you okay, Cindy? Thank you. Beautiful. So before we close the meeting, topics for next week. And I just want to acknowledge Natalie. Thank you so much. And I'm appreciating that you really wanted to ask your question tonight. I've put it in the chat so we address that early on in the call next week. We'll bring you right on for that. But anybody that wants to add anything to the chat, I can stay on. We can let our dear teachers go to nighty-night while we fill up the chat with anything that, okay, Noella, I see that, yes. That you want to talk about next week. Everybody is saying thank you. Remember, all your comments will get sent to Brenda and Diane, so fill it up with all the love you're doing, because I will send that to them. Ladies, thank you so much. Tonight was so beautiful. Thank you. Sweet dreams, sleep well.
Thank you so much,
Monica.
Monica.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Cindy. Thanks, Brenda. Thank you.
Anytime.
Oh,
Call
let's see.
Good night.
It might be right at the bottom. I'll take it.
Go
Good
to bed,
night.
rate yourselves.
Good.
Say good night. Say hello.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. I gotta get going
Thank
too. I
you.
gotta
Good night,
I gotta
Marianne.
deliver some
Good night,
raisin
Sean.
bread. to my-
You said it first.
Okay.
Good night, Kathy. Good night, Nat. Good night, Vic.
Good night.
Good night, Valerie. Good night, Heather.
Bonsoir, Montaigre.
We got to sing together soon sometime.
Thank you, Marianne. Yeah.
Good night, Kathy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vivi. Good night. Thank you.
Make a what? Spell it? M-I-G. W-E-T-C. Hi, Donna.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Kathy.
I hope you're delivering that raisin bread over here, Brenda. Yeah, all right. Any last types? Go for it. And I'm going to, yeah, I know. I love seeing everybody too. It's so great. Okay. Good night. Much
Good
love.
night.
Sweet dreams. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Okay, Noella, I'll get you on the list. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Good night. I know, can't even push the end button. I love you all. Thank you.